Can you hear us now? Yes.
Okay, can you hear us now?
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one.
Okay, hopefully there is now sound and you can hear what we're saying. This is a problem every single time we do this. You'd think
you can't see the sound thing. Okay.
You can't see the sound. That is the problem.
I can't hear you now. Someone says yes. Okay.
Yes, got it. Yes.
Yes,
fantastic.
We're good.
I don't know why I'm doing the thumbs up now when you can't hear me. I could just say.
Okay, as you can hear us, can you hear us clearly? Can you hear us clearly? Sound, but very dark.
That's because it's night.
Okay, bit fuzzy, but we're good. This will do, yeah? Okay, so, all right, throw some questions. I'm going to play around with the sound while Robin answers whatever questions. Some people are saying clear as a bell, so that's great.
Okay, cool.
So that
the
is
traditional start to a Dark Corners live feed. No sounds, total incompetence, and I don't know which camera I'm supposed to be looking at. Having two is really disconcerting.
There we go. You can have that camera.
Which camera? Say that camera.
Camera two. Okay. Bit muffled, but better than no sound. We'll try and figure that out. Your mustache is getting on the way.
Thank you. Still haven't decided if it's permanent.
Okay. Any questions? Are you watching the Creepshow series on Shudder TV?
No. Sorry, I can't. Don't have Shudder, I'm afraid.
How are you doing?
Oh, it's been a very long day since you asked. We have been filming all day. I was trying to work it out beforehand. I think we've worked on 19 different videos today. So it's somewhat exhausting. What's up, guys? This is for all the times you've worn that Metropolis t-shirt. How about doing Giorgio Moroder's Metropolis? Yeah, I suppose we might do something with Metropolis at some point. But I think it would be Fritz Lang's. Okay. Both of us are cute. That's nice to hear.
Thanks, Mum.
Thanks, Kevin. Glad you love the channel. Have you seen the trailer for Eyes of Fire yet? No. What's your favorite Peter Cushing performance? Probably Frankenstein. I think if I can pick rather than a character rather than a film, then all of the Hammer Frankensteins, because they do you really do see that character going on a journey. I think is fantastic.
Are
you ever going to do the movie Moose? It's a blast. Don't rule anything out. It's not one I'm familiar with.
I think it's quite a recent one.
Right. So if it's recent, yeah, possibly not.
You're awesome.
Thank you. I think I've done all.
Okay.
Have you? No.
Have you seen the trailer for the new Eyes of Fire yet? No. Arrow DVDs are great. Why don't you talk a little bit about what's going on at the moment?
Okay, we've got questions.
And I will answer some questions for you.
As I say, we've been filming today. We've got a lot of stuff coming up. Hopefully later this month or early next month, maybe, is our next big special, which is about cat people and its sequel, Curse of the Cat People. And following on from that, we're going to be doing a special specifically about Val Lewton, who's the producer of Cat People. For those who didn't know, he made a series of 9 horror films at RKO. Cat People's the most famous one. So it's it's a different take on what we usually do, sort of like 2-part videos. So rather than doing it in 2 parts, we're talking one about his most famous films and then one about the whole series. Hopefully after that, we'll be doing a special about the Golem. We definitely will be doing one. That's kind of to coincide with a new book that I've got coming out. If you haven't bought Christmas presents yet, and why would you have it September, then hold on for that. And then we've got something completely new for us coming out in December, which I'm not going to talk about because we've got work to do on that, and I'm still not 100% sure how that's going to all go. And we've got quite a lot there.
Cool.
I don't want to get too far behind with questions.
No, that's fine.
Last time we did this, we were about 1.5, 2 hours behind on asking questions compared to when they were asked. So we'll try to give shorter answers this time.
Yes. Okay. Favorite Troma movie?
I don't know. Toxic Avenger. Powering through the questions.
Yes. Any plans to start aging at any point?
Me, no.
Here's an interesting question from someone. They've asked, how about a piece on Hammer's mini Hitchcock thrillers.
Oh, that would be in it. I think that's a very good idea. I'm not sure quite how we'd frame that because it's not one that sells itself quite so easily. But there's some really good, interesting films there. Some people think some of their best films are it's like something like "Don't Give Candy to Strangers." I can't remember the exact title, but those ones, and I always forget the exact titles of these ones. But yeah, there's definitely something to do there.
Someone is saying about how Peter Cushing is great in Twins of Evil. Something we're definitely looking at doing at some point.
The Karnstein ones, absolutely. We will look at those at some point. Yeah, Peter Cushing is an absolute bastard in that. It's one wonderful thing about Peter Cushing. He can be really twinkly, he can be really evil, and he's convincing us both.
I'm going to move this over here so when I'm talking, I can see into the camera. Linda also says we're both cute, and she's not related to either of us.
I think Linda was the same person who said it earlier.
Oh, well, that's confusing. Very all excited for Val Luton. Love the Cat People. Looking forward to the Golem special. Cat People, great movie. What about the ethics? The aesthetics.
The aspects. I think we've got that maybe
as a streaming one because it's on Amazon at the moment. Yeah. So yes, that's
in the pipeline. Yeah, probably before Christmas.
It's a weird one where it's one that's not bad enough to go into regular dark corners, and it's not quite really good enough for streaming. It's a quite weird little oddity of a film.
No, but it seems to be relatively well known. Yes. So that's probably worth doing for streaming, even if it's not brilliant.
Yeah.
So we're trying to do more sort of older films in streaming since no one seems to want the reviews of the new ones.
Yes. Okay, favorite Christopher Lee performance?
I think probably Wicker Man. I think, I suppose Dracula's the one I go back to the most, but Wicker Man is just such a really well-rounded performance.
What movies have you changed your opinion on over time, or the second time you watched it?
Almost none.
Because if you don't like it, you don't watch it a second time.
Well, that's one reason for sure. I think the only ones I would sometimes the movies you love as a child don't hold up as an adult.
Yeah.
But other than that, no, I pretty much set in my opinions.
Well, on that sense, is there a film that you loved as a child that you then came back to as an adult and you're like, oh no?
I don't know about but stuff like I watched Under Siege. I guess I wouldn't have been that young a child, but that one I enjoyed as a child. I remember I watched what is it? The Coen Brothers comedy. There's Something About Mary when I was at university and thought that was hilarious. And when I came to about like 10 years later, just what the fuck is this?
Oh, I lost the question I was going to ask. Everything moved. Yes, press like if you like what you're seeing. Us rambling incoherently. How about how the entire mystery animal femme fatale genre took over from Universal Monsters after the code came in?
Mystery animal
femme fatale.
I'm not even sure what the mystery animal femme fatale genre is, if I'm honest.
Oh, okay. Favorite composers? Film composers.
Sergio Leone, Ennio Morricone. I guess you go for classic ones. I mean, the Bernard Herrmann, of course. I'm not desperately knowledgeable about them, so I can't come up with anything particularly off the wall.
Well, I don't think it's necessarily the case coming off the wall. You want? I don't think saying John Williams is a bad idea.
No.
I think is one of the greatest composers. An incredible body of work.
Absolutely.
Love Val Luton.
A friend of mine met David Arnold, who did James Bond for a while, and he said he's the loveliest man. And he met him. He went to get an autograph after he did a concert, and they ended up chatting for like half an hour. And said he was lovely.
Okay. Hotshot says, "Love the show, guys. The best of English humour. Could you do Killdozer or Killer Fish? Both are brilliantly terrible." Killdozer's been in the list. You've had it in your hands, and maybe it's a bit close to what was the Stephen King one?
Maximum Overdrive.
Maximum Overdrive.
I remember. I think there was a reason that we didn't do Killdozer. I don't think it was that we got a shit copy or that it just didn't quite work.
Yeah. Okay, this one's a good one. Are you writing any more books, please?
Yes. I've got a book out hopefully next month, probably sort of mid-October. It's called The Golem of 2020. The books will keep coming at a rate of one a year as long as I can keep doing them, and as long as people keep enjoying them.
Okay, what are your favourites James Gillis film? Your favourite Jamie Gillis film?
I don't know who that is.
The one that you're thinking of is the favourite. Do we watch Wicker Man? Would there ever be a special for Vincent Price? The Vincent Price Poe cycle from API.
There will.
What a fascinating question.
There will almost certainly be. I mean, whether or not we'll do one specifically about Vincent Price, but we're definitely doing. I'm pretty sure that's how it works out. We'll definitely get to the Poe cycle. I think it will be next year, because we recently had a poll for our Patreon supporters to say which of these specials would you like to see next. And although we haven't done the official tally, it looks very much like the Poe cycle of one. So yeah. And obviously, we'll talk about Vincent Price a lot during that. I don't think we'll fold it into our biography. I think Vincent Price will probably get his own video at some point, because he's interesting. Unlike Cushing and Lee and Karloff, Lugosi, they're all associated very closely with a specific role, and Vincent Price just isn't. So it makes him slightly more difficult to do a special about. But you want to sort of celebrate that diversity. Yeah,
but yeah, we've picked up the films for the Corman Poe, the 6 Corman Poe films. So yeah, that's something. Yeah, definitely looking forward to tackling.
Absolutely.
Are you going to see the Howard the Duck documentary featuring YouTube sensation Waddle the Duck?
No, I've heard terrible things.
Yeah, I'm quite fascinated to see it.
Absolutely.
We both like
I love a making
of documentary.
Any film documentary.
Yes, and so congratulations to our YouTube friend Waddle, who appeared in the trailer for it.
Wow.
So yes, and actually Waddle did a really good review of it, of why it's special to him, although everybody else hates it. For him, it was quite groundbreaking. And in terms of special effects, I believe that it was very influential in creating Photoshop. Was part of the thing going on there with Waddle. So, terrible film, but there's some good sides to it as well. Is modern horror cinema generally a bit rubbish?
I think it's probably not. I wonder if mainstream. You could find that enough people go to see it, so clearly it's working for someone. For me personally, it doesn't really work. The mainstream stuff doesn't work. But I think if you talk about the whole genre, there are still interesting, good horror films out there. They're just not necessarily the ones that make it to the multiplexes.
Yes, and I think there's a lot of good films being out there, and I think horror is always a genre where there can be some really interesting ideas that can be done on a budget.
Just adjusting my chair.
Yes. Should we talk about the chairs?
Do you want to talk about the chairs?
Should we talk about chairs? Whoops, I just knocked my computer over. We got these chairs from a company called Valencia. We're going to review them because they gave us chairs to sit on that move and stuff. Pretty cool.
Yeah. I broke one earlier, just leant back and went flying.
But, mainly because we didn't put them together properly.
Yeah, sure.
So, so look out for that. I think it will be on par with our review of the projector, and one day a review of Bread Maker.
Yes, we're folding it in with a film as well. That's because that's what we do. So we'll be talking about. We're watching a very, very long film while seated in the chair.
Yeah. So how old are you?
How old am I? Let me stop and think.
41, aren't you?
No.
42?
I'm 43.
Really?
I genuinely have to stop and think about that because I've really lost time during the pandemic.
You 78? 78. Okay. Yeah, I'm also 43. I thought I was a year ahead of you, but I will be soon enough.
Yeah.
So
you are a year ahead of me, but not quite a year.
Both 43. Who is that shadowy figure lurking behind your chairs? I would rather not know. What is your favourite Vincent Price movie?
Oh gosh. favorite, I'm just to qualify it, because I can always give a long answer to a short question. I think the best is probably for me Witchfinder General. My favorite, just for sentimental reasons, is The Raven. I love The Raven. I think it's such fun. Can't wait to talk about that.
That's the point. We were going to do Witchfinder General at some point. So
yeah, we will.
Actually, that'll probably be coming up next year.
Yes.
Yeah.
Maybe we can lump them together somehow.
Yeah. So
we're doing that as like a special.
We're going to do it as a one-off special. Yeah.
Yeah. Very fine film. Has exactly what we want in a special: a tragic ending because the director dies.
So, femme fatale animal thing is an example. Is the Cat People? So
right.
Other films like
that's coming in long after The Code. That was what confused me.
Okay.
Cat People sort of spurred there's stuff like Weird Woman was the other example. Some of the films of Reginald Le Bourg. I think that most of those films got entirely the wrong message from Cat People, and it's interesting to note that Val Lewton didn't retread that same ground again. He continued to make exceptional films, but he never tried to do that sort of thing again. Even when he made the sequel to Cat People, other people were trying to ape it, and they aped the wrong thing. So I think for the most part, Cat People's the standout. I'm not sure there's anything else in that group of films that came out in its wake that really holds up. But it's very interesting. It's a part of the story that we're not going to we're not touching on a huge amount in, I think, probably either of the specials, is that other studios were desperately trying to ape that success at the same time that RKO was trying to make Luton make more conventional films, which is kind of crazy. But interesting.
So somebody said we should do a review of Tales from the Lodge.
Okay, we can do that. Would tomorrow suit you?
Yes. Or if you're a Patreon, you could have seen it a couple of hours ago. So we are reviewing it. I don't think it's one that we needed to do. We just did it because of the link to to Avalon.
Because it came in with Avalon, and you know what? I really wanted. I wanted to enjoy it, maybe a little more than I did. I think it was fine, but I sort of felt for Abigail Blackmore, the actor in Avalon, and just thought, I do hope she went on to do other things. And I often check where actors from these bad films ended up, and it was really nice to see that she did something with a relatively well-recognized cast, and there it is. So that's always worth celebrating.
Someone says hello from Korea, and somebody else is asking favorite H.G. Lewis film. Tough one because you hate them all.
Yeah.
And if you were going
for the ones we've watched, then I'm going to forget the title of the one that I liked the most.
I can tell you which one you liked the least.
Yes. I can tell you
Wizard of Gore.
Wizard of Gore. The one I liked most. What the hell was it? The Gore Girls.
The one with the most intriguing premise is Colour Me Blood Red.
Yes. But I don't like the way he's executed that. The one that's I found most entertaining is the Gore Girls, because I think it had a good central character, and you can't ever do better than a good central character.
And then what else have we done? We've done Blood Feast. That was pretty basic. And Gruesome Twosome.
Gruesome Twosome. We've also done the Angels one.
The Angels one.
Yeah, and he co-directed Monster a Go-Go.
She-Devils on Wheels, is it?
She-Devils on Wheels. That's it. Not Angels.
Yeah.
And he picked up the remains of Monster a Go-Go and completed it after Bill Rebane gave up on it. I think it's that way around.
Yes, the most boring film we ever reviewed. Okay, let's have a look here. Love the ending of Witchfinder General.
It's a super. Witchfinder General really is a great horror film. It's really unsettling and stays with you for days.
Do you like a film called Curse of the Cat People?
Yes, and we'll be talking about that in the Cat People special.
Do you want to say a little bit about it now, or do you want to hold it all back?
Are we getting behind on questions?
No.
In that case, just briefly, Curse of the Cat People is the sequel to Cat People. I do believe it's possibly the most unexpected sequel of all time, because it's got in some ways, it has absolutely nothing to do with the film that preceded it, even though it has the same cast, they're playing the same characters. It follows on completely, but it's tonally completely different. So it does take a lot of people completely by surprise. But I think if you just judge it as a film, I think it's absolutely magnificent. Both of them are.
Cool. Couple more here. Did you ever watch Legend of Sleepy Hollow with Jeff Goldblum? I'm guessing no.
Jeff Goldblum? No.
No. Was that the TV series?
I don't know. I suppose it must.
Did you watch the TV series?
No.
Oh.
I wouldn't know.
I still watch TV series. Okay. Have you? Do we want to cover Lair of the White Woman?
Lair of the White Woman. It doesn't say worm.
A worm, sorry.
Right. Because Lair of the White
my
Woman
God,
just sounds like
very good.
slightly racist. I don't know. I'm not sure. It might be one of those. Maybe we could do it for stream. It might be one of those that sort of falls into the gap between. It's certainly not bad enough for regular Dark Corners. Whether or not we do it for streaming, that's the Ken Russell one.
No. Would you ever discuss a multi-part movie serials? So I guess
right.
Like
I don't know how.
We looked at it. We looked at it once for, I think, when Batman was coming out, and we looked at one of the Batman serials then very briefly as something to do, but it does mean sitting through 12 hours.
A review of them is really tricky because it's not really meant to be viewed as a whole, but reviewing each individual segment just seems silly.
Yeah,
I'm not quite sure how we'd do it. I wouldn't rule it out, but I'm not sure how we do it. We'd want to find some way of approaching it.
A lot of people are commenting on how we look very young for our age.
How kind.
It's very good.
I think probably the camera does some favors. I don't know.
This big soft light probably does a lot of work as well.
I said my hair color is fantastic because it covers the grey completely.
I don't mind my grey.
I don't mind it, but it just simply doesn't show in my hair. It's bizarre.
Okay, and your next question is: how about some big budget turkeys?
We've covered a couple. I guess when you say big budget, you tend to mean recent ones for the most part. It's interesting the older films. It doesn't seem like the turkeys have the big budget ones have survived as well, or that they just weren't the right genre because there weren't so many genre films back in the era when we were working. So that's I think what's mainly against it, because we don't like doing the more recent ones. So I'm not saying no, but we'd have to find the right ones.
Somebody's here has said, can we have Robin's top 10 t-shirts episode? But on that, what would we say are the top 10 t-shirts that we've had through the
Metropolis one has proved extremely popular, and I do like that.
Yeah,
this is a brand new one that
there has been compliments about it.
I really like this one. Most of them, it's not that I wouldn't wear them in public, but they wouldn't be my the ones with pictures on. I'm less keen on, I suppose, to wear. Although the Metropolis one I really like, but this one I think this one's quite good. I like the Thing one because it's clever.
That's it. There's Last Exit to Nowhere. They make really good film t-shirts that reference the film, but you kind of need to know the film in order to get the reference.
Yeah.
So you're wearing a film t-shirt, but without looking too nerdy, even though it's super nerdy.
Yeah. But yeah, I've got a fantastic one which I'm going to be wearing when we do the review of these, which is from Fritz Lang's M, and it's a gift from my parents who may be watching, and I really like it, but I would hesitate to wear that one out too much because in the end it does have a picture of a child murderer on it, and I'm now starting to wonder if it was the wrong one to use to review somebody else's product.
Well, we've got other t-shirts. Should we change the mind?
I like the Lang one.
We haven't shot it yet.
They'll take.
What other great t-shirts?
Again, you said the Last Exit to Nowhere ones are good. I've got the Blade Runner one.
Yeah,
that's really niche. The reference on that.
Yeah, because sometimes the t-shirts that you wear are always a reference to something, and it's interesting to see how many people get it.
Yes.
So far, nobody's recognized the Indiana Jones one that you've won.
That's very obscure.
That's not been caught.
Yeah.
So I really like that one.
I like that. I think the Bela Lugosi one's a fantastic picture of it, because you could easily it's a nice artistic one. It's not just Bela Lugosi slapped on a t-shirt. I suspect it's not legal, but
nobody commented on our Wicker Man one.
Really? I thought someone did on that. That's a good one.
So that's another good one. Okay, so that's we both have self-portraits in the attic, apparently. Has Dr. Phoebe's Rise Again been done for Dark Vibes? Yes. Been done for Dark Corners?
No. If it's streaming, it's one we might do. I don't think we do a special on it, but we might do it for streaming. And because I think enough time has now passed since we did Theatre. It's not Theatre of Horror, is it?
Theatre of Blood. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, if I can find it on a streaming service, any streaming service, then we might just do it to acknowledge that. But we'd need, I don't think it's one we do a special on though.
Oh, I hate it when it jumps. Watched The Mummy last week and was wondering, was Karloff let down by his acting skills or the script?
I think it's a very good film.
Okay, I've answered that one. I think the gleam of the chair material on the sides look like someone's legs. Of these. Thoughts on VIY?
VIY?
Yeah.
I have no thoughts on that.
Most boring horror film ever? Some of the ones we just...
I mean, we always say, I mean, Monster a Go-Go is obviously so boring, but it's quite short.
Mm-hmm.
There is also the one that I tend to talk about, which is called, I think it's called The Petrified World, but I sometimes get it confused with a Humphrey Bogart film, which is quite good and has Petrified in it as well, but I think it's Petrified World, which I couldn't get through. It was just too boring.
Legend of Sleepy Hollow was a TV movie in the 80s.
Right, I haven't seen that version.
Okay. Peter Cushing always makes films better. Yes. Another one to consider is Klaus Kinski in Nosferatu in Venice.
Nosferatu in Venice?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay. Obviously, I've seen the Kinski playing Nosferatu in Werner Herzog's version, which is it's an interesting film. I don't think it's as good as the original, but do like it.
The new Green Knight compared to the Sean Connery version. Discuss.
I haven't seen the Green Knight. I really want to see the Green Knight. Maybe is that about in cinemas? I'm so out of touch.
Yeah,
I'd like to see that.
I got to see a sneak.
Maybe that'll be my first cinema trip back.
I got to see a sneak preview of Dune, but they made me sign a contract and I can't talk about it. But it's been released in places in the world, so I don't know whether I can talk about it or not.
Okay.
So I thought
it was safe.
I thought it was all right. It's quite slow, and so depending on what your cinema audiences are like near you, they might be horrible if they're expecting a big action epic. But if you like 2040, Blade Runner 2049, similar sort of pacing with that.
So I mean, Denis Villeneuve's films do tend to be. Arrival's not exactly fast-paced or anything. It's a fantastic film. So I think it's just mismarketing. If people are going in expecting that.
Yeah. Any thoughts on 1988, The Blob?
Not really. I'm sorry. I'm not sure I've seen that. I've just seen the Steve McQueen one, but I don't think I've seen the remake.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's right. Theatre of Blood is all over streaming. Yes, we reviewed it.
Yes, we have reviewed Theatre of Blood. It's Dr. Fibes we were wondering about on the street. So if anybody knows if it's streaming anywhere, then we might try for that.
Some people talk about Petrified Forest. Just finished watching...
Petrified Forest, that's the Humphrey Bogart one, isn't it? Petrified World is definitely the bad one.
Okay. Just finished watching Charlie Chaplin, Modern Time.
Oh.
Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's like some Chaplin films. I think it's got some fantastic bits, but I think he was better at sort of like the bits than maybe like the whole big film sometimes. But I think Modern Times is just a testament to that, how much power that man wielded in Hollywood, that he's making a silent film in 1936. That's extraordinary. Hollywood, the one before that would have probably been 31 in Hollywood. It's crazy. But bits of that, particularly the opening, are really, really good. Other bits less so.
Okay.
It does have his very, very, very young, about to be wife, Paulette Goddard, in it.
The Klaus Kinski movie is Vampire on Venice.
Vampire on Venice?
Yeah. I believe it's an unofficial sequel.
Oh, well, I'm intrigued. I've not even heard of that.
Your least favorite horror comedy?
We haven't reviewed that many.
Well, yeah, we tend to avoid the comedies for this exact reason, because there's nothing worse than a bad comedy. Well, cancer.
There's lots of things worse than a bad comedy. Gangosaurus Rex.
Oh, yeah.
I really did hate Gangosaurus
That's really unfair,
Rex.
though, because it's just guys messing around.
Yes.
It's not a released film.
It was released. I'm sure it had some form of release. It's out there. I'm offended by its belief that it's funny.
So it's like, are we doing 31 Days of Horror? No, this is something that I keep trying to get Robin to do in October. And not to do 31 Days of Horror, but I would love to do anthology films throughout October. So something from The Twilight Zone, something from Alfred Hitchcock Presents, something from Black Mirror, just Tales of the Unexpected, all of those sort of anthology TV series through October. But the workload in October,
this is the thing. We've just completed a 12-hour day of filming, and we're filming again tomorrow.
Yes. So
the idea of doing another 31 videos.
Yeah.
No.
So
not at this point in our career.
We need a lot more people to join us on Patreon so we can ditch the other jobs that we have to do.
If we were earning a little bit more from it, then we'd love to do it.
But okay. Have you ever seen Jesus Christ Vampire Hunter? No. Why are you growing why are you growing that awful alternative universe bad goatee?
2 reasons. Firstly, if I don't shave, this is what happens. I don't grow any other facial hair. So this was initially just laziness. Secondly, when I sort of grew it through the UK lockdown, and at the end I shaved it off to go home. And honest to God, I looked in the mirror and was just so disappointed by my face. I think I have a face that's maybe better the more of it's covered, and this is all I can do.
I think I know your answer to this question. If you could write a book about one Hammer version of a horror character, who would it be?
One Hammer version?
Like a Hammer character.
So I write a book about a sequel to an existing film?
Yes. Oh, I pulled the camera over. Not a sequel, a book about one of the characters.
Okay. I'm not sure I fully understand the question.
So you've got a character from a Hammer film.
I could write a book about them.
Yes. Not the further adventures.
Right. Oh,
Kendall.
Kendall?
Father Kendall.
Sandor. Well, now you've thrown it up, because I was going to say obviously, and I'm still struggling for the name. We did the review for streaming. Oh my God, I keep thinking Captain Corelli.
Oh, Captain Kronos.
Captain Kronos, but now he said Father Sandor. That I think Captain Kronos is the one that wants it more, but I like Sandor as a character so much. So yeah, one of those two.
And Sandor did have his own spin-off.
He did have a spin-off. I'm sure that there are ones for Kronos as well. Surely somebody's written stuff. The one I'd most want to write a film for is Kronos.
Your favourite Amicus film?
Oh, I don't really know. I'm not huge on Amicus films. I think I'm going to defer that question through lack of knowledge.
Evil Dead or Evil Dead Part 2? I
prefer Evil Dead. I may be in a minority. I like the slapdashness of it.
I think I'm more of an Evil Dead Part 2 myself.
Yeah, sure.
I feel it polishes it up, and I think the mix of comedy and horror is better. 1953 movie 5,000 Fingers of Dr. T.
Yes.
Would that be considered a type of horror film?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So such a shame Kronos didn't become a franchise.
It is, and there has been sort of like moves to try and reignite it, but there was always a problem with the rights, which were until his death held by Brian Clemens, and him and the remains of Hammer could never quite come to an amicable. This is how it's going to go. So I don't know if that will change now that he's dead. Maybe his descendants will want to sell it on.
Have we considered doing a review of the Romero zombie trilogy? Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead. Certainly considered it.
Yeah. I think it's difficult because it's not really a trilogy. He kept making them.
Yes, and then you've got then you've got the second. Then you've got the second trilogy.
Yeah,
which you could sort of break up in that sense.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think it's one of those things. Yes, we'd consider doing it. It's not immediately on our radar. I mean, I'm completely open. I'm less knowledgeable in as much as I'm knowledgeable about anything. I'm less the closer to the present, the less knowledgeable I am. And I realize that we're talking about the 60s here, but that's still like, that's more modern than I can get.
Yeah. And so I think Day of the Dead is one of these films which is worth a revisit. That it's a better film than people necessarily remember.
Seen that, because Night of the Living Dead and Dawn of the Dead are so brilliant in their different ways.
Yes.
So it's inevitably difficult to complete that as a trilogy.
It's a nice sort of evolution, but I also feel very zombied out
just
these days.
Money?
Someone has just given us money.
Thank you,
Santa Maria. I love.
Thank you, Santa.
Look how we ditch whatever we're talking about to see what you've got to say for yourself.
Hey, if you give us money, then we'll read your comment.
I love ant-related horror like Empire of the Ants and Phase 4. The world needs more ant-sploitation films. We haven't done that.
No, it's because part of it is because I don't have any phobias, but some of the creepy crawly ones do sort of like set my teeth on edge a little bit. It's why we'll never do
Squirm.
Also, it makes me squirm.
And also we upset the director, so we won't do Squirm.
We don't have a lot of sort of celebrity feuds, but
yeah, we upset the director.
Us and the director of Squirm.
So we've decided we're going to avoid his films in future.
He'll regret it.
What's next?
My lumbar support is not quite perfect.
Good afternoon from Texas. Good afternoon to you too. Favorite horror film director?
Oh, good grief. It's difficult because there's sort of like horror film director and person who's directed a horror film. F.W. Murnau is my favorite director. And so he directed Nosferatu and Faust, but I wouldn't necessarily call him a horror film director. If you're sort of someone who's like known for horror films specifically, I'm getting more and more. When we did The Devil Rides Out, I think I got a greater appreciation of Terence Fisher. So maybe I'll go with him.
Oh, okay.
I think the understated nature of his style is very underrated.
Cool. Have any of you seen Center? No, I really want to see this.
Yeah, that's meant to be great.
Hopefully I can catch it at the Prince Charles. I was hoping it would come on a streaming platform here. It might be.
Yeah, I think it will at some point. It would be a great one to do for streaming.
So
that's one we would want
to do.
That's
definitely one
we would want to do.
Worst Indiana Jones ripoff. They just watched Jane and the Lost City this evening. Certainly the most uneventful ripoff.
That's on Amazon if we ever wanted to do it.
Okay.
The worst one, maybe that. What's the one with the fat guy who they keep making movies with? Timebreaker guy.
Danny DeVito.
No. Timebreaker guy. What's that? Oh, The Treasure of the Four Crowns. I think I'll go with.
Yes.
That was definitely Indiana Jones at the start, and then went into this lengthy heist in which they just hang from the ceiling. Good grief. But yeah, at the start, that's very definitely Indiana Jones ripoff, so I'll go with that.
Birds or Psycho?
Psycho.
Tell me, if people wanted to know more about your opinion on Hitchcock films, where might they go?
They can join us on Patreon, and I am currently 39 weeks into a Patreon exclusive series about all of Alfred Hitchcock's films. You want to hear a massive coincidence?
I saw this.
Yeah. It's not very interesting, but yes, when I didn't plan out the series of videos very much in advance, and it was only when I sat down to do my video of the 39 steps, I realized it had coincided with week 39.
Hey.
There you go.
But yes, for the mere $1 a month.
For $1 a month, you can have access to a 50, as it will turn out, a 54-part series.
Yeah. So.
And each episode is about half an hour. So that is proper value for money.
But don't expect any flash editing. It's just Robin talking at camera.
It's a lot like this, only without this has more editing because we've got two cameras.
And without me not being able to read.
Yeah. But the tone is very like this. It's just me rambling without a huge amount of foreplanning. But people seem to enjoy it. And I like talking about Hitchcock.
I'll stop jumping up. Okay. You're so much more on time with the comments on this live stream.
Thank you. I think there's fewer people questioning us.
I think it's also because I've got 2 cameras, so I can cut away and not feel paranoid. That's basically what's going on there.
Right.
Have you done them? No, we haven't done them, and maybe that's a streaming one.
It's definitely not for regular Dark Corners. Streaming, that would be an interesting streaming one, because that would be one sort of like that's the type of movie that we review for regular Dark Corners, but here's what you can do if you do it properly, how it can go. Good Hitchcock connection, because that's Edmund Gwenn, who appeared in I think only 3 Hitchcock films, but they're all at like different phases of his career, and his brother was in The Lodger as well.
Oh, cool. Someone else said, thanks for exposing the world to the white reindeer.
Well, that was a pleasure. I wish we could find more really, really properly interesting underseen horror films like that. We owe BFI Player for that one, because that was new to me, and that's the sort of film I wish we could find more of.
Will Dark Corners review The 7 Faces of Dr. Leo?
Dr. Lau.
Lau, sorry. I even read that as Lau, and then I looked over and I read Leo.
It's because it's your nephew.
And also, I just went for an eye test, and apparently I need glasses.
Oh, right. Okay. Could be either. I don't know. I think that's probably the best. I think probably not. It's certainly not high on our list of things to do. It wouldn't. I mean, yeah. I think probably not, unless become a patron and request it, and who knows. But
what is your favorite werewolf movie?
Favorite werewolf movie? I think probably American Werewolf in London.
Yeah, that would be my pick as well.
Yeah, I sort of feel almost guilty not picking the Wolfman.
I can't say too much about it, but I did hear at the Screenwriters Festival, I heard a really good pitch for a werewolf movie.
Really?
I'll tell you about it when we're off air, but obviously because they're in the process of doing something with it, so I can't reveal it, but it was very cool idea.
Of course, I have a werewolf book.
Oh, yes.
The Werewolf of Priory Grove.
Where might someone buy such a book?
Amazon. They're all on Amazon.
Oh, this is an interesting one for you. I know my answer, but yours might be different. Do you prefer Goldfinger or The Spy Who Loved Me?
Oh, right. Gosh, I like them both for different reasons. I might go for The Spy Who Loved Me, actually, and I think you'll be different.
That's exactly what I thought you would.
Really?
Yep, Goldfinger. Spy Who Loved Me, definitely when I was growing up, I probably enjoyed more, but Goldfinger From Russia with Love.
I would probably pick From Russia with Love over The Spy Who Loved Me, but I think I really like The Spy Who Loved Me. I think that's the best of the Moore ones, and Goldfinger. I mean, it's got such great stuff in it, but I find it gets a little bit uneven towards the end.
Have you seen Caroline Munro presenting the Cellar Club on the Talking Pictures channel? They show mainly Hammer and Corman movies.
Yes. Yes, that's become a weekly, every Friday night and repeated every Wednesday. We always flag it up on Twitter when it's happening. It's great to see these films getting some attention. It's also kind of nice for us because so far, every single week, there's been at least one film that we have got some form of review of. So maybe it's putting people in our direction as well. Although I've noticed that Talking Pictures has stopped retweeting when I plug my own stuff.
How very dare they? Centres available to rent on BFI Player.
Is it? That might be.
So
maybe we'll make an exception, because usually we don't like reviewing paid ones, but we might make an exception.
Yeah. What did you think of the film Shadow of the Vampire?
I liked it. I have some caveats, but I do like it. I just don't like how they treat Murnau. I think if you're going to make a fictionalized account, I think when you do a fictionalized history, then you sort of change like one thing, and they've obviously decided that Max Schreck really was a vampire. That's fine, but then they've also decided to completely alter Murnau's personality, and I think that changes the nature of what the film is.
Never heard you comment on the 80s slashers like NOES. What would that be?
Nightmare on Elm Street.
Ah, yes. And Friday the 13th. I got Friday the 13th.
No.
Well,
I suppose we're the wrong age for them.
I also think the remit of our channel is what we say is the best and worst of classic genre cinema. And I think it's Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street don't fall into classic.
Nightmare on Elm Street. You see, Nightmare on Elm Street, it's not classic. Nightmare on Elm Street is game-changing horror.
Yes.
That completely rewrote horror. But I think the series is the best and worst of.
Yes, but it falls then it falls out of the classic era. It becomes it's slightly too modern for us.
Stuff, I'll tell you what, stuff made within your lifetime you never considered to be classic.
Yes.
I don't even think Empire Strikes Back is classic. Star Wars is, because I'm younger than Star Wars. But I think when I say Star Wars, I mean A New Hope. It's Star Wars' title as far as I'm concerned. But so Graham may be right. It's just sort of like falls outside our remit. Maybe it's one of these things we'll get to in time.
Yeah,
we're not getting any younger. So
I think it's also we try and find things that people aren't talking about ad nauseum. And I think especially there's a documentary, Crystal Lake Memories, which is a really solid long documentary about the Friday the 13th films.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like there's better stuff out there, and I think because these aren't films that particularly resonated with us growing up, like they were there, but they weren't very influential. We don't really have a big opinion on it.
No, that's the thing. When the Val Lewton ones come out, then you can say, I'm very passionate about these films and about Lewton. I don't think I could express the same passion. I really admire Wes Craven, but it's more admiration than passion.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't have that connection to them the way I do to some of the older films. I grew up with film buffs. My mum's a huge film buff, so I'm sort of aware of these films before I was aware of films that were being made when I was growing up. Weirdly,
favorite Christmas horror movie?
Gremlins.
We did a video on this. It's called the best. What is it? Naughty and Nice Christmas movies.
We did that. I mean, we did one specifically on Gremlins,
and then we did because Gremlins won it.
Yes,
but you can see our top 5 in there, which is I'm going to say Krampus.
Strange Rare Exports, which is a very good
which
one.
We've also done a review of.
We did, didn't we?
And
some other ones.
Christmas make it in?
Oh, the original Black Christmas.
Original Black Christmas.
Yeah, that is a good horror.
Dog Soldiers is almost too good. Oh, there's another money thing.
That's another donation.
It's another donation. It's also from Santa Maria. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Santa.
Hollywood.
I love being able to say thank you, Santa.
I think that's one we agree with as well. Hollywood should reboot Q the Winged Serpent and focus on the Neo-Aztec cults.
Yeah.
Correct the mistakes of the original.
Yeah,
yes.
Go with that completely.
100% agree with you, and not just because you gave us money.
Yeah. That was a good answer to the question that we got from Patreons earlier, actually.
Yes, that's true.
Wish I'd thought of that.
Favorite Japanese horror?
Oh, do I have to come down definitively?
Nope.
I would come down between Kwaidan, which I think is absolutely beautiful and is a stunning piece of filmmaking, and Onibaba, which is perhaps a better horror film, I suppose. It's a much scarier film, proper psychological horror. On Her Majesty's Secret Service is one of the best Bond films. I don't think. I know there are a lot of people who think that. I don't. I think it's one of the, especially in the early films, actually all through Roger Moore, it's one of the best shots. There's some really good cinematography in that film. But I think it's too long. I think it's too long. The second half particularly drags. But has probably the best score of a Bond film. So I think it's got great music. So some of the best cinematography in the early, from the right through the Roger Moore film, probably. God, I think you're going into the later films before you get better cinematography in that film. I think it's interesting. The theme is so good that people think it's a generic Bond score. That's just like the Monty Norman one, stuff that's used in every Bond film, and it's not. It's specific to that one, but it's so good. It's like in the consciousness. Elsa She-Wolf of the SS. I guess that's one at some point I'll probably get around to talking about as a video nasty. Yeah, that's at some point. Yeah, Graham's doing a series of video nasty reviews for our Patreons at a rate of one a year. But I'm so busy. We're very forgiving our Patreons. Do you miss the old dusty video shops of the 1980s? I do, actually, yeah. I used to going to the video store with your parents was super cool, and just all these wonderful things I can choose from. And it turned out back then I probably couldn't watch any of them because we still had a Betamax.
What do you think is the state of current horror?
I think current mainstream horror interests me less, but I think this is often the way with horror, that it's appealing to a younger generation, and often the way with cinema that it appeals to a younger generation and they seem happy enough with it. But I think there is great horror out there if you look for it. Censor would be, hopefully, as an example. We haven't seen it, we'd like to, but you can find really good films coming recently. Maybe more foreign horror. I think there's a lot of great stuff coming out of the Far East.
Yeah, I've noticed Amazon gets a lot of these really cheap, low-budget horrors, and there's a type of horror film on Amazon which is a woman locked in a room,
right,
where she's got to
low budget.
Yeah, where she's got to overcome some sort of challenge. It will either be that she's there was one where she's got to go through all of these tasks to win money, another where she's been kidnapped and she has to get out, another one where she's fighting different people. But it's like this really common genre of budget filmmaking of relatively strong females trapped in a room.
Right.
And they tend to be very talky.
I mean, the genre that I notice is the one where it just seems like they flipped through a dictionary, found a random word and just put "the" in front of it, and that's the name of your horror.
Yes.
Which just reminds me of the Simpsons one, The Bloodening. But they're all titles like that. The Shiver, The Quest.
Dark Corner's regular Dandy Dotty says, he said this quite a few times, but we should check out Waxwork. And it has a golem in there.
Golem.
And a golem. An Andy Serkis golem.
Yeah, does it?
Yeah.
What I think we probably have the same question every time. There are so many films that are sort of like Waxwork based. I'm not sure which one he's talking about.
Yes, well, the one with the golem in it.
Oh, okay. I don't know what film that is. I wouldn't mind doing the one with Fay Wray. I think that's House of Wax. I'd like to do Waxworks as well, the silent film, if we can find that.
So we were just talking about sort of films that are linked thematically. So we're talking about Burke and Hare as something to look at some point. Crystal Lake Memories is definitive Friday the 13th documentary.
That's a lot of emojis.
Yes. Oh, there's a lot of emojis going on. What do you think of Night of the Comet as an Xmas horror film? Camera's on you.
Yeah, I hate it when that happens. I think it is. I do know of Night of the Comet, but I don't think I've seen it. If I have seen it, then it's long enough ago that I don't really remember much about it.
Guillermo del Toro could be the current master of horror.
Yes, I think that's probably fair.
He doesn't do that much horror, though, now.
I think he does. Well, I mean, his last film was horror, wasn't it? He's got a new one coming out soon, Nightmare Alley.
Okay.
I don't know if that's a horror film. I think it's sort of more noirish. But Shape of Water is. I mean, he makes horror as, to be honest, what we would think of as classic horror. That it's a good story first, but then with horror overtones. So something like The Shape of Water, or I mean, the Devil's Backbone is unquestionably a horror film, but really, it's about these kids. It's not, and it's more about the war, I think, than it is than horror.
What was the first horror movie to make an impression on you? For Murderville, it was Night of the Demon.
Yeah, right. I think Frankenstein, or if we count it as horror, I think the first film I remember freaking me out completely was the Jim Henson one, Dark Crystal. Just because I think my parents got it because it said Jim Henson on the box and weren't aware that what a nightmare this was for a small child until we all sat down and watched it. But the first proper horror film I remember watching was the Universal Frankenstein.
I remember the first one that sort of freaked me out was The Exorcist Part 3.
Well, that would certainly
snuck down and watched one night. Hammer or Universal?
Well, you see, I don't know if you can pick. If we're talking individual films, I think Universal has the better individual films. If you were to pick out something like Bride of Frankenstein, Hammer definitely has the better franchises. And if I was to choose somewhere to work, although I'd earn more at Universal, I'd want to be at Hammer. It looks like fun.
Cool. Are we going to do a documentary on the history of monster movies? Because no one has really done it.
That's such an enormous subject.
Yeah.
That wants to be like a feature. That would have to be 90 minutes minimum. Maybe we're not the ones to do it.
That's why we haven't done it, basically. Any chance to see any Ozploitation horror like Patrick or Thirst?
We haven't done a lot of Australian films.
No, we haven't. Yes, we haven't done the Peter Jackson ones.
No.
Did you go?
Yeah, I'm sure we'll.
Did we get to see the film Malignant? Not yet. I don't think I will bother. I haven't heard amazing things about it. Go watch Basket Case. Would you review 1967? 1967 with Roddy McDowall.
Oh,
it is about a golem.
It is a golem. Yeah, I know. I've had, I've been using it for names for my book. Yeah, I'd like to. I've never actually seen it, but I would like to. I understand it's not a great one, but
what are y'all all drinking?
I've just finished. Oh yes, I finished a beer called Beavertown Neck Oil.
And I am drinking Elijah Craig whiskey. Well, I was making a whiskey sour, but the ice wasn't ready, so I had to.
Life is so hard.
So I've got a whiskey sour sitting in the fridge, just waiting for ice. I might run over and get it in a little bit. Got here. We were drinking. I've seen Sam Neill, James Brolin screen test for Bond.
No,
I've seen Sam Neill's. I probably have seen Brolin's one as well. It might be in that documentary that I gave you.
Yeah, I must remember that because I put it in my.
Oh yeah, I need to make a copy of it though before you go.
Right.
So, yes. Any idea who the next Bond should be?
No, not really.
I quite controversially, if they give it 5 years before they do another Bond film, which they probably won't, Twilight guy.
That's extremely controversial.
But I thought in what was the last Nolan film?
Tenet.
Yeah. Tenet. I could see some very Bondiness about him.
Okay.
We'll see how he does it because he's currently filming Batman, where it's supposed to be a bit more of a gritty Batman because that's
as opposed to every other Batman.
So I know there's something there, and I kind of also liked the guy who plays Superman at one point, but I think he might be past it now as well.
I don't like him in that.
Did you see Man from U.N.C.L.E. with him in it?
I started watching it, but couldn't get on with it.
Queen of the Damned. Bad enough for a rubbish film review.
It's a little new.
It's a
friend of my friend Helen, name checking, just in case she's watching. She actually gave me a copy of that to do a review for.
Mm-hmm.
But so I should probably do it because she did give me the damn thing.
Yeah. What have we got here? Oops. Shifted. Oh, somebody gave us $30 dues.
Thank you very much.
Didn't even ask a question. So thank you very much. Rachamus.
Thank you, Rachamus.
That was super generous of you. Thank you very much.
Much appreciated.
I would say if you were considering donating on here, your money will go much further on Patreon, where you'll get lots of exclusive things. So trust me, you can do it here or you can do it on Patreon.
Yeah. YouTube doesn't take a cut. You
just get way more bang for your buck on Patreon. There's a lot of excellent stuff there.
Yeah, that could have bought you 2 years membership.
3 years, because you get a discount if you buy a year in advance.
3 years of membership for $30. That sounds like a bargain, Graham.
That does indeed. How about big budget crap like Speed 2, Men in Black 2, Independence Day 1 and 2, Mummy with Tom Cruise? It's just we just don't touch the newer stuff Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we like a bit of a distance on it so we can mock it. Yeah. Somebody says, I just saw Night of the Leapers here, which we reviewed in our first series.
Many years ago.
So hidden on another channel, you can find our review of Night of the Leapers.
Yeah.
It was the first film that frightened
Oh, right.
the Clocks boy.
Well, it would certainly, I mean, if you've only encountered rabbits as being friendly, then...
Ever considered a retrospective on Kolchak, Night of the Stalker?
Kolchak.
Yes.
I think that would probably fall under the heading of what Graham was talking about. I mean, it's not an anthology one, but sort of like, we don't really do TV shows. I imagine there was a feature film version of it, but Kolchak's basically a TV show as far as I remember.
Okay, this comes from one of our Patreons. Hi, gentlemen. I have a quick question for you. If you could be any horror film monster, who would you be and why?
I don't know. I guess Dracula, he gives you a nice long life anyway. Although everybody seems to... I'm trying to think. I don't know if there's a monster I'd want to be. Actually, yeah, I do. If it counts as a monster, I'll be Mighty Joe Young because he gets to live. The sort of the rampaging monster who gets to go home at the end of the movie. That's what you want to be. Get to go on the rampage, but still go home.
See, now you made me think about the repercussions at the end of the monster rather than the freedom of being the monster.
Right.
Well, I didn't realize I was going to get comeuppance for it.
Well, I think that's the nature of being a monster.
I'll think on. Gavin pointed out something. So, Robin, you are mad if you would rather live in 1970s England rather than 1930s Hollywood.
Why did when did I say that?
Hammer and Universal.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I wasn't really thinking of Hammer in the 70s, if I'm honest, but the 60s will really be more of a peak time. Yeah, I didn't say that that's where I'd rather live, but everybody who worked, I don't think I've ever heard anybody who worked for Universal saying, it was a joy going to work every day and there was a family atmosphere. It seems to be relatively cutthroat. It's a big studio. You're a cog in a machine. At Hammer, you're talking about, I mean, Jimmy Sangster, who was really just a sort of like a backroom boy, wrote a script on spec and was like, yeah, we'll do that, and became their principal writer. I mean, it's just, that's the progression. You have a real chance to do everything, to be part of it. And there is that family atmosphere. So it's not a case of where I'd rather live or when I'd rather live. It's just the studio I'd rather work for.
Do you have a favorite horror movie soundtrack?
Oh, yeah. No, I'm not sure I do.
I found generally when I used to look at soundtracks, I found a lot of the horror movie ones were quite just moody and then wow.
I mean, if we're talking about ones, I like the Bride of Frankenstein one. I like the leitmotifs in that. I like the one for Kong, that sort of thing. But I don't think I've really got a favourite one or anything like that. I couldn't possibly comment.
If they remade Man of 1,000 Faces now, who do you think should play Cheney?
Ooh, that's tricky.
You were saying earlier, I believe. I forgot his name. Jim Carrey.
Jim Carrey
does lots of faces.
Yeah, I don't
think he'd be. Actually,
he's too tall.
Too tall, but actually, I don't think he would be terrible. No, I
terrible.
joked about it.
He's too old.
Yeah, a younger Jim Carrey.
He was dead by the time he was that age.
Yeah, a younger Jim Carrey might have been. Yeah, as by the way, someone else has agreed with me that Robert Pattinson is turning into a great actor. So
okay.
Just saying, might not be quite yet, but
he's no longer on a list of actors that you want to do necessarily work with on anything. But Kevin Spacey would have been good before he cancelled himself.
Yeah, that is true, but also too old now.
Too old now, yeah. But
how old was Cheney when he died?
47.
He did look 65.
He did look older. Yeah, there's no question about that.
Now, I thought I was saying Idris Elba would be an amazing Bond. I totally agree, but it's that window of opportunity there has gone because you don't want a Bond who's that old.
I suspect the next Bond will be black.
I don't think so.
No.
Okay. I mean, I want him to be just to watch people's heads explode. I want it to be a black woman just to watch people's heads explode. Although I think the next one, 007, is a black woman.
Yeah, but they're trying to get as much mileage out of that by being
I just hope they're doing. They can go. Blah! I hope they're doing it deliberately.
They're doing it deliberately, but not to make it. They just want a few extra column inches.
And the superhero reboots die. Just bring us real monsters again. Yes.
Yeah.
Because now we seem to be getting like an onslaught of superhero monster films. So Morbius is coming up, which is a vampire one,
right?
And I'm sure there'll be more along those lines.
As long as people keep watching the superhero movies, they'll keep making them. That's the nature of it.
Yeah.
So,
thoughts on Roman Polanski's horror films?
I mean, I think he's made some great ones. I mean, is it Knife in the Water? Is that the title of the film? Fearless Vampire Hunters is something completely else.
Yeah.
I feel like Rosemary's Baby. That's a really great horror film.
Is it The Apartment? The other one?
I think isn't that Billy Wilder comedy?
No.
Is there one?
There's another Roman Polanski horror where she's in something like that. I can't remember what it's called, but the walls crack. It was part of the Horror 64 when we did that.
Oh, okay.
And then there was like a third film. There was kind of like a trilogy,
right?
Because we sort of discussed doing it, and then decided we wouldn't because he was a rapist.
But yeah, Rosemary's Baby is fantastic. One that bears comparison with Val Newton, I feel. That sort of real world.
Rachel is already a Patreon, so there you go. The money is already at her. I don't know her. Him.
Thank you very much.
Johnny Depp could probably play Lon Chaney good.
Again, probably too old now.
Yeah,
definitely too old. I suppose he doesn't. Chaney looked too old. Depp looked too young.
What do you think of Hammer's House of Horror TV series?
I haven't seen a huge amount of it. What I've seen is what you expect from that sort of thing. I think it's very, very variable in quality, but there are some good episodes.
Would you review a video examination of The Phantom Carriage someday?
What? Sorry, a VO examination?
No, a video examination.
Oh, sorry, yeah. Victor Sjöström is right. Yes. I think I don't know if we do a special on it, but I don't know if Sjöström, I should say. I learned how to pronounce his name properly, specifically. I don't know if he made any other horror films. I'm not sure there's enough there for a special, but if we could find it streaming somewhere, I would like to. It's one that I would like to talk about because it's a really cool film. I have the world's worst, not the world's worst version. I have a version that looks absolutely great, but the only soundtrack on it is this hideous atonal modern. I don't know what they sort of call it, electronic jazz, and it is just 90 minutes of feedback. It's almost unwatchable, but yeah, it's a great film.
Favorite Oliver Reed Hammer performance?
I think you've got to say Curse of the Werewolf, haven't you? Yeah. I mean, he did. Scarlet Blade is the other standout one. But
have we reviewed Abbott Costello Meet Frankenstein?
Not specifically. It's sort of like it was part of a couple of the specials that we've done, the Frankenstein one and the Dracula one, and the Wolf. Oh, we haven't done the Wolfman, but the Frankenstein one and the Dracula one. And it's one of those things. It's difficult to sort of like review in that context in some way because it's a fun film for what it is. It was sort of the wrong way for the horror cycle to finish, but it shows you how good Lugosi is in a comedy, if nothing else.
Somebody says, I lived in 1970s England and it was shite. What's the worst classic horror franchise?
Worst classic horror franchise? I don't know.
It's a long day, isn't it?
It has been a long day. I don't know. I mean,
we're going to wrap this up at midnight our time, so about 20 minutes more.
Right. I think if we're going to talk about classic horror, then I would say the Mummy franchise, the Universal's Mummy is a great film, and then they're all B movies from there on in, and they're pretty.
Yeah.
But they're watchable enough. I wouldn't say. I don't really know how to answer that question.
Do you consider the creature from the Black Lagoon as part of the classic Universal monsters? Because he comes quite late in the day and never mixes with the others.
No, but the Mummy doesn't mix with the others either.
Ooh.
I don't think that matters.
So he does get an Abbott and Costello film.
Yeah, but not with the others again.
Yeah.
I think it is Universal. It's the last gasp of Universal horror. It's really them sort of bridging the gap into the 50s and into that new type of horror film.
Yeah, I know,
and it does have a lot in common thematically with the older ones.
Yeah, I know James Rolfe really pushed it to include. He went for that and Psycho and Jaws.
That's properly
really sort of stretching the definition of the Universal horror monsters.
Yeah,
I think not as like kinds, but just like these are all Universal horror monsters.
In the end, they are all Universal horror monsters. It's just not what you necessarily think of.
Wrap it up after midnight. So much for London after midnight.
It has been. I'm sorry. It has been a very long day. If I'm starting to seem increasingly vague.
Favorite giant bug, lizard, or fish movie?
I'm going to say them just because it's in my head now. There's an ant movie that we're going to review, even if I don't know if there's an actual ant in it.
What?
They're just giants and puppets.
Then,
yeah,
we're going to review that.
I thought we were talking about doing that for streaming
earlier
this
session. I don't, and honestly, don't often hear what you say.
It was a question on there.
I know. I might ask the question, and then I'm like, "Oh, I've got to figure out what the next question is." And occasionally, I'll just pipe in Halle Berry as the next Bond. Somebody says, "Is there an actor who is highly regarded who you can't stand?"
Yeah, lots of them. I'm not a fan of Robert Pattinson, to be honest.
I'd say I think you're just not seeing him. I wasn't. I can see there's something there.
Okay.
Yeah. What do you think of Monster Squad?
I remember loving it when I was a kid. I haven't seen it since then.
Lots of people agreeing that 1970s England was not great.
Okay. No, you know what? I'm not qualifying it any more than I already did. Although, just to reiterate, I did say 60s. And 1960s England was swinging.
Will the Devils ever, and I mean ever, get a good uncut release? Ken Russell's film.
I suppose it must eventually.
I think it exists because it has been screened.
It's been screened, I think, twice.
Yeah.
And we're talking about very limited. I think it's about 3 minutes of material is what we're talking about.
Yeah.
That they're holding back. I think it must come out. Sure. The fact that it exists means that it will surely come out.
Interested in doing a streaming review of Video Nazis, Moral Panic, Censorship, and Videotape. I have watched this. Yeah, possibly as a documentary for the streaming.
Okay.
So kind of like those.
I'll be guided by you on that one. That's not what I know.
Yeah. Did you enjoy Raw Meat, the British Subway cannibal film?
I haven't.
Can't remember if you reviewed it. We haven't reviewed it. Did you see the film Raw?
No.
That's
I did
really
hear good things about that.
Yeah,
for sure.
Maybe that's a good one to do for streaming. I think it's on Shudder, or at least it was. So I might be able to get a copy of that.
Very late in the day to be reviewing quite a modern film. If you don't get the new one straight away, then it's almost barely worth it.
But I think it's one that's somewhat obscure.
Yeah,
it's not.
Okay.
I guess it probably not to our audience. I would assume our audience have heard of it, but maybe not. Maybe it didn't do much in America because it's a French film, so it might have not got great distribution. Has anyone seen Raw? Let me know. Interesting cannibally sort of film from France.
Interesting cannibally sort of film from France. That sums it up.
I've also been working all day.
Yeah, you slept last night. I struggled.
What have we got here? This comes up. Ever heard of Dr. M or Prophecy, Mutant Bear movie? No. Love this channel, a true hidden treasure. I wish we weren't. I wish we weren't a hidden treasure.
Yeah, we'd really rather be a more public treasure. But thank you. No, I haven't heard of that.
Craig, I've got a bottle of Gentleman Jack up there, and I don't think I've tried it. I might have tried it briefly. I've got, what else have I got up there? If you want to know my whiskey collection, I've got Old World Whistle Pig, Elijah Craig, Cask Strength Maker's Mark, Woodford Reserve, Blanton's, Fighting Cock, and Willets. Those are a selection of my bourbons I've got up in my cabinets. Many of them I am too afraid to open in case they're
afraid.
In case they're either really good or really bad, because they're expensive and I might not be able to get hold of them again. Do you think London After Midnight will ever be found?
I don't think it's impossible because it was a widely distributed film, and there are a lot of things still held in private collections. So, but I mean, it's pure guesswork.
Mm-hmm. I'd love you to cover Prophecy 2. It's a John Frankenheimer film, if that sells it to you. What else have we got here? Oh, good time.
Excuse me.
What have we got? Well, we've got 15 minutes left. Real Meat was called Deathline in the UK. Donald Pleasance, Christopher Lee. It's a very sympathetic monster. So tomorrow, while we're waiting for some more questions to pop up, tomorrow we are going to shoot a Undead.
Yes.
We're going to shoot this couch review.
Yes. I need to write that.
And we're going to try and shoot some of the advent calendar of posters.
We are.
So that's not too much, I hope.
No, hopefully it'll be a lighter day, but
I think as long as we don't go into it thinking it's going to be a lighter day,
yeah,
and then we don't do anything to about
I feel
midday.
that the advent calendar, it's always like a tussle between Graham's ambition and my desire to just keep it simple, quick, and get it fucking over with. Yeah. So there's always that.
I want it to be interesting.
I don't think that it makes any difference to the views.
I don't think it does. Care. It makes it more interesting for me. I've got to get some creative fulfillment out of it.
Well, if you'd like to write the advent calendar, then be my guest.
Not that part of it.
Yeah,
the filming and editing part of it. Do you think that Mark of the Vampire is a sound remake of London After Midnight?
Yes.
Yes.
It definitely is.
Guys, we're over 50k, so that's something. However, I'll push harder to help you get to 100k.
Thank you.
To doing the Lord's work. Definitely for me. That was somebody else. Are there any animated movies you would cover? I've sent you one actually. That's a Patreon request.
Yeah, I'll have it. I started watching it, but I don't know. I wasn't in a great frame of mind or whatever, and it didn't. I do think maybe it'll turn out being too well regarded. And
I checked beforehand, and I think it's not that well regarded.
I think people have an affection for that one, and I like Bakshi's style, to be honest.
Yeah,
I don't know,
but that film is a bit of a mess. So I think you can like the style and admire the ambition, but also the fact that it.
I'll give it another watch. I will give it another watch.
Patreon requested it.
Yes, I know. We've got a lot of Patreon requests at the moment. We've got a lot of Patreon. I'm getting through them. But, I can't afford to waste my time on stuff that I think is less.
What's your favourite German expressionism horror film?
I think probably Nosferatu. If we put that in the expressionist bracket, which I think most people do.
Okay. Would you review Operation Kid Brother with Neil Connery? Now, this came up.
We did talk about this, and we decided not.
Did we decide? Did you watch it, or did we just decide not? What was it?
You said not to bother because it was a comedy. So
that was it. Yes, that was it. Which tends to not work.
Yeah, comedies don't work so well for us, so probably not.
Someone saw Wizards with Nosferatu.
Oh, okay.
As a weird double bill. Do you read We Belong Dead magazine?
No.
No.
But I recognise the quote.
Oh.
Bride of Frankenstein.
Oh. I see. Anything? Any other questions? Jot them down.
Yep, we still got 10 minutes or thereabouts.
So after we've done tomorrow's shooting, we'll then hopefully 1 or 2 more shoots till the end of the year.
Yep.
So that should be.
We're planning to shoot again at the end of October.
I mean,
so hopefully we'll do this again at the end of October.
Yeah. There's obviously quite a few people who've come in a bit later than when we started. So upcoming, we've got, well, you can talk about it.
Okay, upcoming, we have, for those of you who missed it earlier on, we've got our Cat People and Curse of the Cat People special, looking in detail at those 2 films. And then there'll be a further special about all of the Val Lewton horrors, of which Cat People and Curse of the Cat People are the most famous. After that, hopefully in November rather, we're hoping to do a special on the silent film The Golem, and we will touch on the 2 lost golems that are by the same filmmaker, but mainly it'll be about the 1922 version, directed by Paul Wegener. Then we've got hopefully something special lined up for December, but we're not talking about it too much yet. But December, where there will be our annual Advent calendar, counting you down to Christmas with 25 great horror film posters. So look out for that. And yeah, I think that's enough, isn't it?
Yep. Are you looking forward to or dreading No Time to Die?
I don't know if I can even be bothered. It's just, you know what? Maybe it's because we had sort of like stuff lined up to coincide with it, and I really resented having to sort of like keep stopping and starting over the last 18 months on that stuff, almost 2 years. Maybe it's just I don't see what it immediately strikes me as too bloody long. I don't think Daniel Craig wants to do it, which just makes you think I think that sort of thing does have an effect. I'm just fed up with it. I don't know if I can even be bothered to go and see it.
I'm certainly intrigued, but I can't say I'm excited. I can't say that I'm dreading it. I'm just sort of interested to see how it goes. And they really, because they advertised it, it seemed to, all of Daniel Craig's films seem to have just gone through nightmarish things with the writer's strike on Quantum of Solace, with arguments over Spectre and weird choices in that film, and then this film where originally Danny Boyle was going to direct and he got dropped, and then they've had to ramp up the marketing 3 times, and there's quite a few people who think that this new Bond film, which has just came out a year ago. So they've got quite a struggle just reaching the regular people of the world with it, and is it successfully going to wrap up these Daniel Craig Bond films, and then what do they do next? Because these Craig Bond films have been, to some degree, a contained story. So it's not like you're just replacing Bond as you have in the past. Will Moneypenny and M transfer over into the new film? I don't know. So just morbid curiosity rather than excitement or anything else in that respect.
Yeah, sort of past it.
So you are tired. Rest. Thank you for all you've done. Do you think a video about The Man Who Laughs got so many views because of the Joker connection?
I think that had a big part to do with it. Yeah. I do also think it's a film that people had heard of, and that they sort of had seen pictures, maybe knew that it existed, and knew of it in connection with horror films, but there wasn't another video out about it. We managed to find a niche that people hadn't covered. So I think that helped us. But yeah, the Joker connection for sure makes a difference. It is notable that even though it's one of the first things we say in that video, about half of the comments on there, and there are a lot, are people pointing it out that it's related to the Joker.
But then I was reading up on it, and it is kind of speculative whether or not it really was.
Yeah, they're sort of is it 1 out of 3 of the writers?
Yeah.
The fact is, when you look at the first pictures of the Joker, it really does look based on. If it's not, it's one hell of a coincidence.
Yeah. Have you seen House of Wolfman with Ron Chaney?
No.
Ron Chaney.
Yeah.
I read it, and it wasn't until I said it that I really sort of picked that up. How would you feel about an American Bond?
I not feel great about it. But I suppose we've had an Australian one. As long as he was playing English and could do it convincing, or playing British and could do it convincingly.
We've certainly sent enough Brits out to America playing Americans.
Yeah. But we reviewed earlier today. We recorded a review for The Atomic Brain, which has one of the most catastrophic English accents in it.
What are you doing here, pinching more bomb?
Yeah.
And then
Dick Van Dyke would be watching it going, well, this isn't convincing.
And then what was the other one that we did with the Cockney in it? Scorpion Thunderbolts.
That was very convincing Cockney accent. Unfortunately, they were voicing over someone Chinese.
But
yeah, as long as they could do it convincingly, I don't really care what nationality they are, as long as what they're playing is British. But I don't want an American James Bond.
Yeah. Okay, we got 4 minutes to wrap up. So Marjorie Eaton, yes, Marjorie Eaton is in The Atomic Brain, and Marjorie Eaton, also known as the Emperor from Empire Strikes Back.
Yes.
Are you looking forward to or dreading Ghostbusters Afterlife?
Gosh, that's still to come, isn't it?
I guess when these films go, didn't that come out? I guess it didn't. I'm intrigued by it, but
that's the one I'd be more likely to see that than No Time to Die.
I don't have high hopes, or I don't dread. I think I'm not one of these people who think films ruin my childhood. If it sucks, I can just ignore it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm very confused as to.
I'd be happy to go in and just ride a wave of nostalgia. Yeah. I don't expect it to be as groundbreaking as Ghostbusters was.
I've been quite happy to never watch Indiana Jones 4 again since I saw it in the cinema.
I haven't seen it again.
So,
but then I don't rewatch.
So if a film sucks in a series of films, it doesn't ruin the other films. I just don't watch the new one. There's an American character, Felix Leiter, if you want an American Bond. I mean, I think I'm quite interested now that Amazon has its stake in Bond. They're saying that they want to do stuff, but the Barbara Broccoli and the people who own Bond have the creative control over it. They're saying, nope, it's cinema only. You're not going to make your money penny TV series and all the rest of it. But who knows? It sometimes might just be
Amazon clinging on there, going, they can't live forever.
It might just be a wheelbarrow of cash might change that.
Yeah. Did for George Lucas.
I've heard a Lost Boys remake is coming.
Yeah, I heard that.
I wouldn't be averse to a Lost Boys remake.
No, that's one I'm afraid to go back to, because I really did like it when I was younger, and I'm afraid that it's not as good as I remember.
No, Felix Leiter wasn't killed off yet, was he?
No,
I
don't think so.
No, he had his legs bitten off in License to Kill.
Yeah, which that's technically in the future.
Which actually happens in the book Live and Let Die.
Oh, right.
So in the novelization of License to Kill, he has his. It sticks with the book continuity, so I think he gets like his prosthetic legs get bitten off. Yeah.
Or all the bad guys are looking at it and going, well, this just isn't having the effect that it usually has. They're usually
so
screaming by this point.
Lost Boys has aged about as well as an Adamant video.
Right. Okay. You see, there you go. I'm right to keep away from it. I just remember really enjoying it at that age, but I can see movies from the 80s, for some reason, I think they have a shorter shelf life than any other decade.
Don't know.
Or maybe that we haven't just got old enough where because I'm sure movies from the 50s just seem to come from a fucking bubble, but somehow they've acquired a camp value over the years, or a charm, even the better ones.
Yeah. So it's about the sequel of Lost Girls, and then there's been a couple of Lost Boy sequels.
Has there?
Yeah. They were like straight to DVD. Still had Corey, one of them.
One of the Coreys.
Still had a Corey in it. Felix disagreed with something that ate him, as somebody pointed out. Felix lost his legs and changed colour. Yeah, well, that's it. That's midnight. We're going to bed. So once again, thank you everyone for
Thanks
supporting
for
the
coming
channel
along.
and watching the stuff that we make. It means a lot to us. Make sure that we continue doing stuff. If you do have $1 a month to throw into Patreon, you do get quite a lot of extra content there.
If not, then
But
please
don't
feel
feel
free
pressure.
to. Yeah, don't feel free to. But please do feel free to share the videos on YouTube as widely as possible.
Yes,
because they're not getting the views they should at the moment.
But yeah, do feel free to join us on there as well, because it all helps, and it means that we can produce more stuff and all the rest of it. But mainly, thank you very much. This is always really entertaining for us to hear what you've got to say, and I'm sorry if we didn't get to all of your questions, but if you just if we didn't answer your question, chuck it in the comment of one of our videos, and one of us will try and answer it. So thank you very much. Have a great night.
Good night, guys.
Good night.